Your 20s are purely there for you to stuff shit up. You're not meant to have all the answers. Higher risk, higher return. Low risk, low return, boring life. Remember one guy said, bite off more than you can chew, but fucking bite hard.
Loss is only a loss if you don't learn from it, right? But if you learn from it, it's a lesson. And if it's a lesson, it just has a price tag attached to it. And when it comes to career, how do you level up like the most quickly?
The power of compounding, Sammy. Compound interest. Warren Buffett, I think he said it's the 8th wonder of the world. We need to be 1% better. And if you did that every day in any field, at the end of the year, you'll be 37 times more advanced than where you are. 37 times, Sammy.
Knowledge is power. Man, I think the sooner that people realize that, the faster they will grow.
You can learn everything from anyone, but if you do not execute, it just reminded me of all the stupid things I did. Well, I didn't do because I didn't execute.
Missed opportunities. This is going to be, man, obviously 10 brutal truths. If you apply each of these items here, they would legitimately change your life in the most drastic way for a crazy, crazy future ahead of you. I think one of the biggest regrets that there is in the game. G'day listeners, and welcome to another Top 1% podcast where we peer into the minds of the ultra high performers. Now today I've got in the studio my good mate and all-round legend, Mr. Jimmy Ibrahim. Welcome back to the studio, mate.
G'day, Sammy. G'day, listeners. Always great to be back in the Top 1% podcast, Sammy. Thanks for having me back. Must have done something well in the earlier episode.
Well, I was going to say we're supposed to peer into the mind of the ultra high performers, and I apologize to the listeners for failing to deliver that today. But man, I'm pumped about today's episode. It's something that I've been wanting to kind of do for a while, and I think there'll be a few different iterations on this episode over time as well. But man, I thought this would be a really cool thing for the two of us to dive into, to chop it up, and yeah, man, to kind of see what we both come out with. For this is going to be, man, obviously 10 brutal truths that both of us wish we knew in our 20s, and it's going to be 5 each of us, 5 of the best, mate. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to ripping in.
I love it. I think this is going to be a great episode for people listening. Doesn't matter what journey you're at. This is not for someone who's just in their 20s, right? Because a lot of these, when I was going through my list, this is relevant whether you're in your teens, whether in your 20s, whether you're in your 30s or 50s. And so anyone listening to today, I'd highly encourage you to lean in, because no one is the oracle of anything. You know, as good as someone is, you are here to learn. So today, really lean in and think to yourself, well, how can I look at something differently? You know, the more you listen, the more you learn. You might come away with something today. I mean, I'm the first to say I don't know everything. In fact, there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Most things I don't know. But if you're open to learning, that's the thing I love about this podcast, Sammy, and listening to all your guests. It's just been so bloody awesome. So well done to you and to the community that you're building here. And so if we can give some value today, absolutely awesome.
Man, I think it's exciting. And I think the cool thing to note on that, exactly as you say, man, is like, it's not just for people in their 20s, but these are the lessons that I wish I knew in my 20s. And man, I like, even if looking at my parents and looking at people that I've worked with before that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, man, so many people have missed these sorts of little things here. And it may not even be the whole 10. Maybe they know 8 or 9, or they've understood that over time. But man, sometimes you need a reinforcement of it. And it just doesn't matter whether it's, where you are, what stage you're at, man. You should be super coachable and super like a sponge, man. I think that's the biggest thing. Like even myself now, man, I've still got business coaches, you know, I've still got people that I work through. I still look for different things I could learn, even in the property space, even though I've been doing it for 15 plus years, you know, there's always different things you can learn, different iterations you can apply to your own life. Yeah. So if you're not still learning, man, like you've already in a way lost the game. You 100%. Should always be looking at what can I learn, what can I implement? And yeah, man, that's what we're here all about today, man.
And if you are in your 20s, Sammy, there are no excuses.
Mate, if you're in your 20s, lock in for applying stuff that will legitimately change your life. If you apply each of these items here, they would legitimately change your life in the most drastic way for a crazy, crazy future ahead of you.
Absolutely. So can we just jump straight in?
Man,
Sammy?
let's jump straight in. Dude, I want to go one for one. I want to start with you, and that's going to allow me to finish on the back end. So mate, let's start. What's your first one? First cab off the rank.
The first one is very straightforward and simple. Take more risks.
Ooh.
Sammy, take more risks. You have time to absorb the losses, right? And as you get older, you think about it, kids learn so quickly because they're not afraid to stuff things up, right? I remember listening to something about learning a language. Like kids learn languages quick because they don't care about looking stupid, right? So they take risks, they try it. They're not afraid of looking stupid. So as adults, we're almost conditioned to not look stupid. So we don't want to take risks because we're going to look like we're silly or an idiot or stupid. So I remember Gary Vee, he often talks about your 20s are purely there for you to stuff shit up. Like you're not meant to have all the answers.
100%.
You're supposed to get out there, take risks, do it all because you have time to fix whatever, any fuck ups you have, you will have time to repair, right? And think about what you can do because in your 20s, you don't necessarily know what you want to do. I didn't know what I was going to do in my 20s.
Yeah.
But you might as well, instead of trying to not make mistakes and not trying to do something because it might not work, try everything. Do everything. You're not meant to be a baller at 21.
So when you say take risks, you are literally talking this about everything as well, right? Not just investing. You're talking about partners,
Everything.
man. You're talking about obviously career. You're talking about investing, everything, travel, everything, right?
You know what? When I think about property, I bought my first property at 23, and I remember. It's funny. I remember when I was writing this list down, and I bought that deal, and I was making good money for a 23-year-old. I was working on ships. It was all cash money, and I had money coming in. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just buy as many properties as I can and just hold on just hold on as hard as I can. And I was like, oh, no, maybe not. And then you look back at all those missed opportunities financially, right? If I think about risks, about not taking certain jobs or not asking a certain girl out or just not being too scared to do things, right? And I think we're all conditioned to be safe. Your parents, what does a parent say to their kid? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be careful. Like, you need to cop the hits. You need to get back up. Your ability to absorb discomfort about being uncomfortable and that elastic band. We talk about an elastic band concept. You need to stretch yourself to absorb discomfort and pain and being prepared to actually achieve something meaningful. It doesn't come without the risk, right? Higher risk, higher return. Low risk, low return, boring life. So if I had my time again, man, geez, what I would be, I just look back and I don't regret a lot of things, but I think in my 20s, I wish I took more risks. I remember one guy said, bite off more than you can chew, but fucking bite hard. And that's why I think comes down to being risky, not risky. Right? Don't make stupid decisions, right? But take risks. And on the flip side of that, Sammy, I'd say don't criticize yourself for taking risks and it not working
out,
right? Because we're our own worst enemy. We're going to put ourselves down. We hold ourselves to such a high pedestal. We're worried about what other people think. So be easier on yourself with the risks, right? That's what I would say.
Man, this will flow on very well to one of my points. It's a bit further in as well, but I'll save it for when we get down there. But man, I think this makes so much sense from so many different angles because almost everyone looks back with a level of regret, whether they wish they went harder in something, whether they wish they changed career earlier. And you know what, it's going to flow straight into this thing anyway, which we'll touch on this later. But man, a loss is only a loss if you don't learn from it, right? But if you learn from it, it's a lesson. And if it's a lesson, it just has a price tag attached to it. So, okay, how expensive was that lesson because of the mistake that was made? But ultimately, man, like that decision, those lessons, that builds the fortifications for one around your mind, but also starts to build a knowledge bank from shit you don't want it to go wrong again. But you have to take risks to get into that point. If you just live a cruisy life, like you can only like a cruisy life with no risks and not rolling the dice, not pushing hard, don't expect to have a ridiculous life because the two don't go hand in hand.
100%.
If you're looking at the supercars, you're looking at the beach fronts, you're looking at the holiday house, the business class trips, all that sort of stuff. You don't get that by living a mundane, simple, straight line life. You have
100%.
to take risks to get there, and that isn't for everyone. But remember, we're talking about the top 1% podcast. I don't think people who aren't interested in that are listening to the podcast anyway. So I think in reality, man, like this, in terms of application, it's assessing everything you're looking to do, weighing up the risk, but then taking risks if it is a calculated, warranted risk. Again, whether it's career, relationship, investing, travel, all these sorts of things, man, it's especially in your 20s, but at any age that you look at this thing, right? But especially in your 20s, is this thing worth rolling the dice on and seeing if I get a return out of it? Whether it's experiences from something like travel, whether it's a relationship you're not happy in, or a career you don't feel fulfilled in, or investing that you haven't even started in.
Yeah.
All these things, like you have to, almost everything in life, man, is a gamble. Like whether it's a career, realistically, it's an investment in time, and time is the rarest commodity, right? You can't get that thing back. Or it's a relationship as well. All these sorts of things. It always needs to be calculated with anything that we do. So, man, I love that it's your first cab off the rank and the first point, mate, because I think, man, it's super relevant. And I think anyone, especially at our age, I know we've got a bit of a gap here generationally between you and I age-wise, but especially for people coming through in their 20s, man, looking at life like this, but regardless of what age you're at as well, looking at life like this, making calculated and taking calculated risks from that end.
Yeah.
Man, there's no bigger needle mover in your life.
Can I just add one last thing to that point, Sammy? Because I know we've gone on a little bit with this one. But if someone said to me in my 20s, the more you actually fail, the more successful you will be. I wish someone said that. And because at first I would have thought, what? I don't want to fail. But it's the attempt to fail. Because you're either going to fail and you're going to learn quick, as you said, and then you're going to move on. Or you're going to realize, you know what? Actually, I surprised myself. I could actually do it. So I had the balls to have a crack. I took the risk. So try and fail.
Yeah, 100%, brother. I love it, man. I love it. Mate, my first cab off the rank is that knowledge is power. Man, and I think the sooner that people realize that, the faster they will grow. Man, I look at like what I spent my time on, my energy on, both, just even didn't matter how much it was, how expensive it was, but investing that time into building my knowledge base, specifically for me around property, dude, that was the biggest needle mover that there was in my entire journey. Like if I had a program like School of Property, which has everything, everything from all facets of investing, property investing brought into that one program. If I could have done something like that and built my knowledge base from that perspective, it would have been a game changer. Because effectively like that first 5 to 7, 10 years of what I built in that time frame, like people look at my journey now and like, holy shit, like you've done so well, blah, blah, blah. But like it took me 10 years to start, or 7, 8 years to start scaling properly. And man, if I'd built that knowledge base, if there had been something back then that I probably could have tapped into sooner, but if I'd built that knowledge base sooner and more aggressively, I should have been able to extrapolate and go so much harder than what I actually did in the time frame I did. And if I look at it now, like clients, I see clients that are in their 20s, what they're doing in like their first year, second year with us as clients, man, they're surpassing my 5, 6 year, 7 year bloody journey in terms of what I got done in the first 5 to 7 years. Some of them are surpassing it in 1 or 2 years, depending on what they have, what they're starting with. So, and how quickly they're looking to go as well. So it's one of these things, man, that I think like knowledge is so powerful. You need to build it and then you need to apply it. And I think that's the other thing that comes with it, is that execution piece. But man, if you build that knowledge base, as long as you execute, that is how you forecast, you preempt, you don't make as many mistakes. So like your first point of take risks, build the knowledge base, then roll the dice and take the risk. That is going to be the quickest and the easiest way for you to mitigate those risks, mitigate fuck ups and losses and all the rest of the sort of thing, which will turn into lessons over time. And it is inevitable that some of them are going to happen. And you want them to happen, because if they don't happen, you're not trying hard enough. But the more that you build that knowledge base out, the more you risk mitigate that, and then the more you fast track yourself towards your goals.
I love it, Sammy. I mean, that education piece is just so important. Be aware, like your self-awareness. Don't pretend that you know more than what you really do. And there's nothing intelligent or smart or beneficial by pretending to be smart, right? Know your competence, know what your circle of competence is, and then find someone who's better than you.
And man, I think this flows into like all facets, same as what we were talking about before with your stuff, all the different things of like whether it's investing or business or career or relationships or whatever it is. Yeah. Knowledge is power in all of those items. Like, man, especially things like your investing and business as well. But man, when it comes to career, how do you level up like the most quickly? Like it's gaining the knowledge of what's next. How do I beat this? How do I go to the next level and get better and better? You want to get paid more? Be fucking better. How do you get better? You get the knowledge, man, and you execute. Yeah. That is how you level up in everything. Same as relationships, man, everything, travel, all the rest of it, everything compiles into it. But obviously the main things we're talking about here that will significantly improve what you're trying to do, career or business, build a knowledge base, and especially with investing, man, because you don't want to roll the dice on something that you do not understand properly. That's the quickest way to lose dough. But if you understand it, you build a knowledge base and then you apply it, man, that is how you'll multiply the wins.
Just on that, my own personal experience.
Yes.
How many courses did I do in my 20s, Sammy? And I know we've spoken about this, about property. And I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said execution, because there's a lot of people out there telling you what to do. And you can learn everything from anyone. But if you do not execute, learn, reiterate, execute, fix it, tweak it, execute, keep executing. I'm glad you said the execution piece, because it just reminded me of all the stupid things I did. Well, I didn't do because I didn't execute.
Yeah. Missed opportunities, man. Missed opportunities.
All right, move on.
Let's go.
For me, number 2, the power of compounding, Sammy.
Oos.
Compound interest. Warren Buffett, I think he said it's the 8th wonder of the world. I never really understood the power of compounding.
Bro, I actually believe Albert Einstein was the first one who said that.
Was he?
Because of the actual mass calculations of the effect of compounding and compounding growth. It was actually him. Like from memory, he was actually the first one that ever said it. I'm sure Warren Buffett then said it as well. But man, if you go all the way back to him from that effect, man, compounding effect of everything, again, whether it's the knowledge which then flows onto everything else, or the risk, all these sorts of things, man, they all compound and go to the next level. So, man, but like specifically, what are you talking about in this instance?
Well, I think you can apply this to everything, right? And looking at compound interest or compounding, 1% improvement. Like think about if you did something 1% better each day. That's not a lot, right? It's not saying we need to be dramatically better. We need to be 1% better. And if you did that every day in any field, at the end of the year, you'll be 37 times more advanced than where you are. 37 times, Sammy. That's massive.
Would actually be more than that because of the compounding effect of the 1% on 1%, 1%. I reckon it's bigger than that.
From when I was doing my research, 37 times better at the end of the year, of 1 year.
I don't trust your maths versus say someone like Einstein. So we'll give him a call.
I wouldn't back my maths.
We'll double check that.
I wouldn't back my maths. But when I think about it, like if you think about your health, or you think about fitness, or you think about money or finances or saving or investing. I mean, investing is one of those things that there's a real direct correlation with the numbers. With your health, you maybe can't measure it as much, but health is bloody critical.
Yeah.
With your relationships and how much you invest in your family or your friends, there's no surprises why the end result is what it is by that little incremental change. So I wish when I was in my 20s, I really understood the power of it, right? And then focused on something that was achievable.
Yeah.
So achievable means what can I do today?
Yep.
1% difference. Could you be a better bloke by 1% each day? I don't know, maybe not. But if you think about in your health, eating something a little bit better or work.
You could get substantially better with 1%. That's a lot more than 37%
I probably could. Because, Sammy, anything worthwhile
Yes.
takes bloody hard work,
100%.
right?
Yes.
So the compounding, why not?
I think
right?
the cool thing about compounding as well is it's a longer term effect of something you also have to stick to, right? So compounding, you have to stick to something for it to work. It's the same as interest. Like, okay, well, you get interest over the course of a year. That's the compound is interest, right? But then the same thing, man. It's the same, and it goes the other way. If you compound being shit
or lazy
and eating shit and not training, you're gonna get fatter and you're gonna get more unfit and you're gonna get more chance of a bloody heart attack.
Yes.
But if you go that 1% better every day, you're gonna get fitter, you're gonna get healthier, you're gonna feel stronger, you're gonna feel clearer, all this sort of stuff as well. It's exactly the same thing with wealth, same thing with bloody relationships, business, career, everything, man. If you're always focusing on being that 1% better rather than slipping, because ultimately, like the longer you stay doing nothing or staying the same, the more that actually compounds into you being worse because someone else will be overtaking you. So ultimately, in terms of a net position, even if you're going the same, if other people are overtaking you, you're worse. Yeah. So, man, I think it's a really, really good one because, again, it applies to all facets of life, but especially when you throw on things, again, we bring back to, say, career or sporting or business or all these different things like that, man, that constant 1% better every single time, every single day. You think about it even from the sporting side, which we haven't really thrown into the equation yet as well. You think about if, like, everyone's training, let's say 5 times a week, and you throw in that extra session or the 6th session or the 7th session or whatever that is going to compound, especially over the course of a year, that extra 1-2 sessions a week, that is going to compound into, over the course of a year, we're talking another 50 to 100 sessions a year that you're going to do compared to your competitors. that's going to be a significant amount. If it's a soccer player, you're practicing free kicks or whatever it is, or if you're a sprinter, or if you want to improve your athleticism and you're doing those extra little sessions a week that improves it from that end. Look at Tyson. Like every time someone said they got up at 5:30, he's like, okay, no worries, I got up at 5. Or they're going to get up 4:30, no worries, I got up at 2:30. You know, he was always looking to beat the competition.
Yes.
And that compounding effect of it, man, multiplies over time because he's already beaten them before they even get in the ring because of what he was willing to do from that end.
I always find just on this, I know we're going to wrap this up, but it sounds good to do, but in actuality and in effect, it is harder. So that's why if I'd encourage anyone, just think about the 1%. I'm thinking about in my life, 1%, that takes the pressure off of trying to make wholesale change, knowing that in the end you'll win, but just a little change. Everyone can do that.
Yes.
In any capacity, in every aspect.
I love it, mate. I love it.
All right,
what are you going to change? What are you going to change from today?
Well,
you going to start going to gym?
No, I think definitely in terms of eating a little bit better.
Okay.
I definitely want to be a bit healthier. But to be honest with you, it's probably my relationships. You know, I think with my family and my partner, Jody, and just little things, I could probably be a little bit better to have that better result. And 1% isn't just thinking a little bit beyond myself and thinking about other people and maybe just reaching out to your mum and just saying, I'm just checking in or sending a text. That's 1%. But that over time makes a difference. You know, we always talk about money and finances, but at the end of the day, dude, we all want to be happy and live a happy life. And I've dropped the ball on a lot of things in my life, maybe not as much financially, but other things that I want to improve.
Yeah.
Because I want to be happy and I want to contribute. I want to be someone that people admire, not oh yeah, he's got money, but he's a fuckwit.
You know what though? You say that about money, but like, man, it wasn't until you were pretty much 40 that you actually started to solidly invest and go hard into that as well. And that was where a compounding effect took serious effect from that. You know, you had 1 or 2 properties at 38, 39?
Yeah.
And now 20 plus property portfolio at 44?
That's an interesting point because I was piss farting around with investing till I was 40 because I didn't have any clear understanding of how to invest. And if I think
even though you've done all the courses,
I did all the courses because I didn't execute, right? And I was a scattergun. Whereas when I honed in and really focused on a specific strategy, and that could be another point, but when I focused and had full intention, there's no surprises why I got the results.
Yeah, 100%.
So now for me, I'm thinking, well, I need to do that in other aspects of my life. I have to. Otherwise, you're going to be the poorest man in the graveyard and have all of these regrets. Fuck, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Mate, next one is my second one being don't pursue something you are not passionate about.
Oh, Sammy boy.
I think one of the biggest regrets that there is in the game is not doing the shit that you should have done and staying doing something that you fucking hate or staying with someone that you don't enjoy being with. All these sorts of things. Again, it's a compounding effect of over time, you stay there longer and longer and you become more and more unhappy, whether it's work, whether it's relationships, whether it's whatever it is, you know, even holding on to a shit investment. You know what I mean? Like, don't hold on to these things, regardless of what it is out of any of that side. Don't hold on to anything that you're not passionate about and that isn't going to keep improving your life and being able to move forward. And man, if I extrapolate this and look at this, even my career is probably what I would put it. I didn't have a career before I started the buyer's agency. What I was doing was building property on the side of working and being a laborer. And obviously I did well out of it. And I built my knowledge, man. I was doing more than 1% a day in terms of building the knowledge base, and I was executing and everything else. But man, for 13, 14 years, I worked a job that I fucking hated. And I hated it every single day, man. I labored 10, 12 hours a day, absolutely slaving my guts out. And it paid me a paycheck that was okay. It was the average Australian income. And then I was doing something else on the side. And that was, in a way, like that was, I guess, where I was moving to from a career side. But I say doing something that I hated for 13, 14 years. Like, was that necessary? No, I could have gone and done something else. Even if it was something in the property game, which I loved, or real estate or building or something like that I probably could have gone down that avenue. But I stayed in something that I wasn't passionate about. And I'm just extremely thankful that it allowed me to, you know, have the knowledge base that I have now to help people the way I can help now, and the runs are on the board from that perspective. And for myself, it allowed me to be, I'm very, I think, relatable, and I can relate to a lot of clients, especially who are on lower incomes, just average Australian incomes, all that sort of thing, because I've been there and I've done that, and I've got that empathy because I have from that end too. But I see way too often people who don't have that career pivot and don't have, especially like haven't built what I've built over that time frame to allow me to do the career pivot, and then they just stay doing something they hate forever. And it doesn't need to be something like, oh, well, I also invest, so I'll go become a BA as well or something like that. Just because you invest or something, it doesn't mean that you love it, or the same thing of, oh, well, I love watching soccer, so I'll go be a coach or something. Like, it's figure out what you actually could do and do very, very well that also you could be passionate about and make great money from as well. And yeah, man, obviously it goes across everything from a lifestyle side of things, like we were talking about before, man, like everything as well. But the biggest thing for me that stood out too when I kind of looked at this too, man, was that career side of things and doing something that you hate. Because ultimately, man, we've got 24 hours in a day. The average person sleeps for 8 hours. I don't know about you, but I don't sleep for 8 hours. But the average person sleeps or is supposed to sleep for 8 hours. That's a 30-year fucking life gone, dead, gone, as Big Emil said in episode number 3 of the Top 1%. That gives you 16 hours a day. Now, you wake up in the morning, you go train. Yeah, brekkie, you drive to work. There's probably 2 to 3 hours gone in the day. Then you work for 8 to 10 hours. What do you got left? You got, you were sitting at, 12, 13 hours or whatever it is there. You got 2-3 hours left before you're back in bed. And then you're up doing the whole thing again. So in reality, more than a third of your life, every single day, more than a third of your life, which in reality, if we actually take out the sleeping part, it means because you're not living then, right? You're effectively 100%. Dead during that time frame. Half of your life, those 8 to 10 hours in the middle, 50 to 60% of it, you are working. And if you fucking hate what you do, why would you do that? That's just going to make you miserable.
But can I ask you?
Well, let me throw one other thing on top as well. If you're also in a fucking relationship that you're not happy with, if you throw that in on top and you're doing a job that you fucking hate, and then you got a missus or a partner or a boyfriend, whatever, husband, whatever it is at home that you also don't love or you're not passionate about or whatever, or it's gone, or you just, ended up there and you haven't been happy for years and you're still just sitting there, what a miserable life.
What if you're stuck though?
How are you stuck?
I mean, some people, they've got 2 kids, they've got a mortgage, they feel like they're trapped.
So, okay. So the 1%'s to change the life, to change the relationship, improve that. If you feel like you're stuck in that, you need to improve it. Okay, do the 1%ers that you just spoke about. The compounding effect of a relationship will change.
Start small.
But the career, what else could you do? There's very few people that are on so much money that it doesn't make sense for them to change a career or have a crack at something else from a career position as well. And one of the other big things, man, is having that career change, that career pivot. If that makes you significantly happier, will you also take that into your relationship and be significantly happier as well? Undoubtedly. And if you love that, so much more over time, will you undoubtedly make more money out of it too? The answer is yes, 90% of the time, right? And that only 10% would be someone who's potentially on a significant income. But again, if you're on a significant income and you hate what you're doing, it's more than 50% of your life that you fucking hate.
Sammy, it's such a good point. I remember this in my personal situation when we had our first gym, which we actually really enjoyed, and it was quite successful, right?
Yeah. This
and
is
we
the
sold
Jets,
it.
Right?
The Jets gym, and we sold it for back to the franchise. And then we thought, well, let's get out of this business because it's not scalable.
Yeah.
And so we thought, let's get into the coffee roastery business because coffee, it's infinite. But I fucking hated it. And I was chasing the money, thinking that it was going to make me happy, but I hated it.
Yeah.
And so then if you're going down the path of trying to chase the dollars, like it's such an easy throwaway line, but you will never win. If you did what you were passionate about, the money will follow. It's such an easy throwaway line, but bloody hell is it true. Do not pursue. I remember speaking to young kids, my stepdaughter's partner, he just wants to find a job that pays the most amount of money. He's 18, of course, he doesn't know what he's doing. But I'm like, dude, don't do that. He doesn't get it because he just thinks
it's all
the
about
money.
The money now, yeah.
But do something you're passionate about. You will get paid for the value you bring. And you're going to bring value when you actually enjoy it and you feel like you can contribute.
Yeah, 100%.
Then you'll get paid.
Yeah.
Not the other way. Give me the money and then I'll do it.
Yeah.
We've all done that. We've all made that mistake. That's a good one.
Thank you, mate.
The third one, Sammy boy, is from my side. Stop the comparison game.
Ooh.
Stop the comparison game and worrying about what everyone else is doing and what everyone else thinks about what you're doing. One of my mentors always said to me, he said, Jimmy, you got to picture, he calls it the one horse race. And he says, there's only one horse on the track and it's got the blinkers on and that's you. You're not racing against anyone else. You need to put the blinkers on and focus on what are you doing? Where are you heading? What's important to you? What's going to move the needle in your life? And I think back to my 20s and, when you're 20, I mean, I'm in my 40s and I still haven't figured it out. I'm still, I fuck up things all the time and I fall into this trap as well. But if I think about my 20s and if I was to go back to myself and say, James, don't worry about what everyone else thinks because everyone else has got plans for you. What do you want to do? Block out the noise. Focus on what is going to move the needle in your life, what is going to actually give you something inside that no dollar value will give. And that is just putting that tunnel vision on and thinking about what is actually going to change my life and what do I want to do. And I see kids today getting on their phone, looking at TikTok and everyone like on Instagram and everyone's pretending to be a baller, but they're not actually doing. So be an executor. Don't be a consumer. Be a producer. And you can only produce when you're focused. You can only produce when you've got the tunnel vision. You can only produce when you haven't got the distractions of worrying about what everyone else is doing. And I think about, I wasted a lot of time doing that. Worrying about what are they? I'm not as good as him. You remember, you used to tell me that about yourself.
100%. That's why I was waiting for you to wrap up before I kind of jumped into my own side of it, man. I remember, dude, like especially the first few years, I'd always be fixated on what everyone else was doing. And man, I got into the game just to like, if I could just do a deal a month and replace what I made as a laborer but do something that I enjoyed, I was going to be happy with that. And then I got in there and I started getting a bit of a taste for it. And then I was like, oh no, I want to hit this. And then you see people doing significantly more than you and they're touting it, they're screaming, shouting it from the rooftops. And then it almost like belittles you and makes you feel small. And man, like I was doing really, really well, but I was focusing on these other guys and like guys and girls and like what they were achieving out there as well. And man, it sapped my energy, man, and it sapped my confidence as well. And what I found was one of the biggest needle movers that I've ever had in my life was blocking everyone out. Man, I can't remember exactly who I heard it from. And then I was surrounded by a couple of mates that just was so positive for me. And I was like, hang on a sec, these guys are happy for me. Like this is weird, this is different. And then I just realized I was getting sucked into this vortex of worrying about what everyone else was thinking about and talking about and supposedly was doing. And then, man, when I started going through and I actually started blocking them all. And I started blocking them all so I couldn't see their shit. And all of a sudden I started feeling, the next few months I was feeling more positive about myself. I was doing well and man, it was just snowballing. And man, I got to this point where I realized what it was and then I wasn't worrying about what anyone else was doing anymore. And man, when people tell me their numbers these days, I never like to talk about what I do compared to anyone else. Or the only thing I'll talk about is my portfolio. That's because obviously, from a vindication side of things of what I've achieved and what I can help other people achieve as well. But other than that, man, I don't really like to talk about what I do or what we achieve as a business, all the rest of it. And man, I feel like when those blinkers go on and you just focus on your own shit, the amount of growth that you have off the back of that is unparalleled, man. Like nothing matches the growth you have off the back of that because you're just focusing on your game. You know, man, and like I always used to think, and maybe it did, but I always used to think the competition was good because it'd make me fierce, it'd make me want to hunt people down and like smash them and beat them and all the rest of the thing. And in one way, like it's I like having that, and I still have that. I still want to beat everyone, but man, you can't allow that to invade your thoughts and invade your way of operating to the point where you don't take as much action. You fixate on everyone else and all the rest of the thing, man, and. You have to block that out. One of the biggest needle movers I've even had in the last 12 to 24 months, man, is all my social media notifications are off. So heaps of people would know if they message me or direct message me on Insta or whatever, like I'll sometimes take like a week to reply to people. And it's because I haven't seen it. And heaps of others have come through since then. And by the time I finally jump on, which is typically like once a week, man, it's like, you know what I mean? I've missed it and I haven't seen it all that time. Because I find this is a time vortex. You jump on there, then you start comparing yourself to everyone. Oh, that looks sick, or that looks sick. And then you stop becoming happy with what you've got. You know, you got a couple of supercars in the garage, but you're looking at everything else and everyone else's shit as well. And man, at the end of the day, it doesn't help you with anything, you know? And sometimes a fire in the belly is a good thing, but man, like being able to focus on your own journey and like you say there, stay in that one horse race and focus on your own journey, man, there is very little that is more powerful than that.
Mate, you know, we used to joke about, we used to have a conversation about, you know, I'm not on social media a lot.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm not is because early in the piece, I found myself getting sucked in and it didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me feel good. And I don't know if it's a jealousy thing and I don't know what it was, but I just remember thinking, I don't feel good out of this. And I would compare myself. Why aren't I doing that? And so then for me, I just thought, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I don't need to. I know it's different for you with the business and stuff, and it's great. But for me, I just didn't feel that I need the validation from other people because it's a fake validation. And I didn't want to compare myself. And so I found just in my general mental health that when I wasn't vying for anything else and not seeing anything else, I'm happy for everyone else. Yeah. But it just created one less distraction in that blinker tunnel vision of what I'm trying to do. So for people out there, you might be great. But if you're feeling that, then you need to do what Sammy says, like notifications. I don't have any notifications on. And I like it like that, like you, because it's a distraction. But if you find yourself getting sucked in, change. Change.
Yeah.
Right? That little dopamine hit is going to go, is going to pass, and you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
So don't do it.
One thing I was saying, man, is you don't have to be happy for everyone else having cool shit. And like if you don't have a supercar and you want a supercar and you know, seeing that like pisses you off, whatever, man, there's nothing wrong with like having that side of it because that's just dogging you. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with having a bit of dogging you from that. But you can't allow it to dissuade you from or to move you from your path, to focus on your path from that perspective as well. I mean, a hungry appetite is good as long as it doesn't like pull you away from the straight line of what you're trying to do.
Just to wrap this up, there's the one last thing. Metallica, obviously you know who Metallica is, right? One of the band members from Metallica who was cut, right? His name was Dave Mustaine, who then went on to form Megadeth, right? Yeah. Now, there's a story that Dave was incredibly pissed off about getting cut from Metallica, and he went to prove, I'm going to be better than Metallica. Yeah. I'm going to be Megadeth was a massive band, sold out arenas, but he always felt he was a failure because he compared himself to Metallica.
Yeah, right.
So for people out there, there's always going to be someone doing more than you. So if you're comparing yourself, you're never going to be successful because you're comparing yourself to someone who's at a next level. It's like you. I'm not as big as the next developer or the next whoever investor. If you do that, you will never be happy. Yeah. And when that example came up, I was like, fuck me, look at this guy sold out arenas and he's not happy. Yeah. He's a rock star.
I feel you.
So there you go.
Mate, it's a great point, brother. It's a great point. Mate, moving on in the essence of time, my third one in the middle, don't look at what something costs you, but look at what it makes you.
Ooh, the investor mindset, Sammy boy. That's a very good one.
I love this one because so many people fixate on what something costs them, regardless of what it is, man. Let's say it's an investment in knowledge, it's an investment in a service, or it's an investment in something that's going to make you happy. You know what I mean? Like all these sorts of things, man, you have to look at what something is going to make you or give you or provide you rather than what it's going to cost you. And that's the biggest thing, man. You have to look at it from that mindset. And that is a sophisticated investment mindset because you're investing, it depends. It's regardless of what you're actually investing in, any of those things, service, education, experience, whatever it is, it's what's it actually going to give you on the back end of it. Yes. If you pay shit, expect shit. You know what I mean? Like if you're paying for the cheapest end of the town, don't expect the top end service. You're going to get the worst. You know what I mean? You get what you pay for. It's one of the oldest sayings in the book. You get what you pay for. And man, I think like when this comes to education, when this comes to a service, it's one of those things, man, that is so grossly overlooked from that perspective and misunderstood that I feel like it has to be reiterated in there because it's the same as, man, like, you know, someone's not going to give you all the secrets, you know, in the world or all the secrets that they know for free. You know what I mean? Ultimately, man, if someone's built up, you know, 10, 20, 50 years worth of knowledge and experience or something, they're not just going to give it away. It's either going to be a closed door service or they just don't give it away in general and they just apply it themselves. So, man, it's one of these things you have to be willing to from that end because the best shit in life, like the best things in life are not free. It's as simple as that, man. The best things when it comes to this side of things, man, the best things in life, they're not free.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the education piece, 100%. I mean, I think back to my family, like, you know, and most families, their parents, what do they say? How much does it cost? How much is it? Always worried about what it costs. It's a very scarcity mindset.
Yes.
Whereas you taught me as an investor, which is so powerful, what is this going to make? And how are you going to compound that? And what is the upside, glass half full approach? And you will never invest if you don't understand that concept. So yeah, I love that one. That's a really good one.
100%, man. 100%. Mate, next one.
Let's keep moving. My number 4, Sammy, very important one. And this may not apply for 100% of situations, but take it for what it is, that you are in the exact position for all the decisions you have or have not made to this point.
Yes.
Very important point, Sammy. And I think what this particular point, if I was to say to my 20-year-old, is you need to take ownership of your circumstance and stop blaming the people around you. I spent a lot of time blaming my dad for this and that. And, he didn't teach me this. And, as a kid, I'd never got that upbringing. And if it would be different if he gave me this and that. And then I remember listening to this mentor and he said, no, you are in the exact position of everything. Not only have you done, but what you haven't done. Because that's a conscious decision as well.
That's very true, man.
I know we've talked a lot about
even the risks, man, the shit that you haven't done, the things you haven't gone out there and rolled the dice on.
That's right. So you need to take ownership. Stop blaming people. No one cares. Stop the victim syndrome. And as a 20-year-old, I did that. You're always looking for someone else. Because why? Because it's easier to blame someone else than look internally, look at yourself in the mirror and take ownership. If you take ownership of everything, Sammy, even one mentor said, when you're driving down the street and someone cuts you off, take ownership for it.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do? You're going to get the shits. You're going to get all flustered. And you're going to blame someone else? Well, no, just take ownership for it.
I can tell you one thing as well, man. Like all successful people, when they hear someone make excuses and they hear someone like saying, oh, it was because of this or because of that or whatever as well, man, I can tell you right now, and I never used to think this until I started, the more successful I became, the more I started to realize, fuck, I used to do a little bit of this back in the day as well. And like I made this excuse or I made that excuse or whatever. And then people start making like similar excuses to you. And you're like, mate, you've got a choice. You don't even say, you just go, oh, okay, no worries, man, all good. And it's like, you've got a choice. You either make the choice and you do the thing, or you sleep in, you don't go to gym, you eat like shit, and we all fall victim to it at different times.
Yeah.
But it's how you respond to it. If you're overweight, if you're poor, if you're whatever, all these different things, man, if you're in a relationship you're not happy with, they're all decisions that you have made, or the position you're in right now is through decisions you have made to this point in time that have ended up with you in this place.
Yeah.
Regardless of where that is. It's like when people try and throw stones at me and try and tear me down for owning the portfolio I have. Oh, fucking rights. Everyone's got a right to live. Yeah, everyone's got a fucking right to live, mate. It took me 3 years to save my first housing deposit on minimum wage, motherfuckers. Like, are you willing to do that? No, you're probably making 100, 150 grand a year. But, I can't go do this. I can't go do that. Or, there's a sacrifice. But, fuck, mate, this should just be a basic human right. Fuck off. A basic human right. Are you kidding me? Mate, anything worth achieving in life is fucking hard. Whether it's a rig of a body, whether it's a massive portfolio, whether it's buying your first home, whether it's building a mad career or a mad business. It doesn't just happen. It has to be earned. So anyone out there fucking whinging and bitching, zero sympathy. You're in the position you're in right now because of the actions that you've taken to get here. That goes for me, that goes for you, that goes for everyone. So the next time you think about whinging, or the next time someone whinges to you about it, maybe pull them into line. Because if they whinge to you about it and you let them, and then they feed off that, that's your circle of influence that's going to impact you. And then you might think it's okay to whinge about this or have an excuse about this or, I didn't do it because of this thing. Or I can't go buy my first property because of all the fucking investors. We'll find a way in terms of how to do it. Don't eat that fucking tub of ice cream before you go to bed. That's why you're fat. All these things, man. I love that point, bro. I fucking love that point. Because everyone, all of us, everyone in the world could be in a better position than they are in right now. It doesn't matter if you're Warren Buffett. There's shit that he 100% did wrong or didn't do. He's in the position he's in right now. That could have been a couple of billion, but that's an extreme example. But then the people at the bottom as well, there's things that they could have done or there's things they could be doing. Are you working 2 or 3 jobs to get your first property? You know what I mean? Like all these different things. Oh, you got divorced. Okay. Or you got cheated or whatever. Okay, sweet. Now, sometimes things like that are fucked up. But did you also neglect your relationship for a year to a point where someone became unhappy with you? And sometimes it isn't. It's just that. But okay, you chose the wrong partner then. Every single decision, every single thing you do in life has a flow and effect to where you end up. And some of that is brutal as hell. But it's the truth. It's as simple as that, man.
Mate, you nailed it. Yeah, I love it.
So every decision you make, you have to understand there's a flow and effect.
Yeah.
With all of that.
Yeah. It's like the law of exchange, the cause and effect. Like there is always going to be a cause and effect of the decisions you have or have not made. And what are you prepared to do? What is your exchange that you're making?
Yep.
So one of my mentors always says, if you're aware of it, you're 80% there. And then the last 20% is actually just taking action. So for people listening to this, maybe just take a bit of time to reflect and actually just when you come up with something or you're making an excuse or you're thinking about something, ask yourself, well, what decisions have I made? What decisions have I not made? Am I responsible? at least that'll give you an action plan to actually execute.
Yeah, 100%, man.
All right.
I love it. I know I'm a little bit fired up there.
Number 4 for you, Sammy boy.
Man, I know I got a little bit fired up there, but I think it's very relevant.
Hey, this is life.
Man, but a lot of people make excuses about anything and everything that can happen in their life. But you have to understand everything has happened because of what you've allowed to happen as well, right?
Yeah.
And all the decisions that you've made to get you into the position you're in right now. And that's okay. It's exactly what you said there, man. Understanding it or taking ownership of it and acknowledging it. You're 80% there. And then it's like, okay, sweet. Now, okay, what do I do to preempt that not happening again? What do I do now to change my trajectory, 100%. To change this, change that, whatever it is? Excuses, like, man, I'll tell you right now, successful people do not give a fuck about your excuses because they've been through what you're complaining about, but they've just pushed through it or they've figured it out or they've gotten to the other side.
Well, solution focused. You always talk about that.
Solution-based thinking.
Yeah,
100%.
They're focusing, okay, what can we do? We're not going to dwell on it. What can we do?
I don't have enough cash. Okay, sweet.
What are we going to do?
Work a second job. Sell shit on whatever. Be an Uber driver, whatever. I've got clients, man, that's sending me texts every week, sending me how much they made from Uber this week. Hey, bro, just doing the graph, just checking in. You're my, accountability partner. Like things like that, man. Like and dude, sometimes if you want to go to another level, okay, sweet. Who's that person I can have that conversation with to be my accountability partner so we can level up and go to that next place, man. And if someone isn't in line with you from that, again, have you got to put the broom through the friendship group? Have you got to put the distancing, the distancing, what is it? In COVID, you had the spacing rule. Have you got to do that with your family until you level up to a point where you have to think, man, bro, I'm fucking serious, man. I had to do that as well.
I bet.
So it's one of these things, man. You have to embrace change if you want to change.
Yeah, I love it.
Because if you want the results of the top 1%, you can't do the work of the 99% and expect it. You got to do the work of the top 1 to achieve the top 1.
I love it.
Do the same work as the 99%. The masses expect the same results
100%.
as the masses. It's as simple as that.
Number 4 for you, Sammy boy.
Mate,
what do you got?
Loss, this is actually fucking flows perfectly from that onto this, mate. A loss is only a loss if you don't learn from it. I know we spoke about it before, but mate, as long as you learn from a loss or a mistake or whatever's happened, man, as long as you learn from it, it isn't a loss. It's just a fucking expensive lesson. Yeah. And that's all it is. And every lesson will have a price tag on it. Yeah. And it might be emotional. It might be financial. It might be whatever. It might be time. But quite simply, man, all it is a lesson as long as you learn from it. And so, man, like the biggest lesson I probably ever learned, there's a lot of lessons I've been through, man. I've made a hell of a lot of mistakes, right? But probably the biggest lesson and the most important lesson that I ever went through was when I got burnt by the dodgy buyer's agent back when I was 26, 27 years of age.
Yeah.
$10,000 lesson, dude. I was making 70 grand a year. I was netting about 55, 58 grand a year, whatever it is. $10,000 lesson at that age, making that amount of money is huge, man. It was almost a quarter of my, it was a fifth of my income a year. And I got burnt that money by that dog. But man, it hurt me for about 6 months. And then I just and I didn't realize this until only a couple of years ago when I looked back on it. I was like, that was the best lesson I was ever taught.
Yeah.
As much as I hate that guy and as much as that money hurt me a significant amount at that point in time, it was the best lesson I ever learned because it showed me how shit people can be out there, how much of a fugazi people can put on, an absolute load of shit that people can sell. And so for me, that kept my moral compass as straight as an arrow. But then it also put a fire in my belly to make me go so hard it's not funny. If I hadn't had that lesson, we probably wouldn't be sitting here on this table today. So as much as I hate him, I also sometimes secretly thank him for being a fucking idiot and being a dog, for then giving me that lesson to now 100%. Put me in the position I'm in now.
Sammy, the story with the gyms. I mean, I've lost a lot of money in various businesses and I look back and the lessons
You're a
that
very
I learned,
learned man.
The lessons that we learned from that gym and just the arrogance of going into a franchise thinking that you're just going to automatically succeed. And I think back about, if I could say poor is me and woe is me and, it wasn't me and, it was someone else's fault. What's that going to do for you? It's COVID, it's the Marbo, it's the Fugazi, it's whatever it is. But you need to take ownership. You need to learn from it, right? As you said. And if you learn from it, you move on. So don't get caught up in the loss. What is the lesson?
Yes.
Perfect. I love that, Sammy.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
I think we're coming to the last one each.
Mate. Final one each,
Sammy,
mate. Hit me.
The last
what
one
do you got?
for all of our young listeners or any listener out there, don't set yourself up to lose the game, Sammy.
Ooh, Jimmy, talk me through that, bro.
The reason why I came up with this one because I thought to myself.
I thought it was because it's not a very succinct title. It doesn't really tell the story.
I wanted you to actually ask that question. Because,
okay, it was strategic, wasn't it?
Because I think if in anything in life, right, in sport, you set a game plan to win.
Yes.
If you're creating the rules of the game that are setting you up to lose, it's an unwinnable game. So, for example, right, if you create unrealistic expectations within your 20s that you should achieve and you don't achieve them, you will think you're a failure. And you will, because I did it. I said to myself, all of my passwords had the numbers 530. By the time I'm 30, I'm going to have 5 properties. In my 20s, a lot of my passwords had the 530.
Let's go hacking. Let's go hack his account.
I didn't achieve that.
Yeah.
So I just constantly thought I was shit.
Yeah.
And I constantly was beating myself up, and I should have probably achieved it if I had the right execution or whatever. But I was setting myself up to lose in the sense that I was narrowing my window. So I would just encourage people in their 20s to not create all of these unrealistic expectations. And you don't need to be a baller at 21 so you can put on Instagram and TikTok that you're doing all this and you're driving around in a Ferrari. Like, don't narrow your window. Give yourself, as the old saying goes, we always overestimate what we can achieve in a year, but we underestimate what we can achieve in 5 to 10.
And Jimmy, that's one thing that I was going to flow on with that. And I think one of the biggest sort of takeaways from that point, man, because it is a great point, is people overestimating what they can achieve in a year. And this is the thing, man, if people have big goals, and so much is possible if you give yourself a 3, 5, 10 year window, but have that as the goal and then reverse engineer it to year by year. Okay, what is actually achievable? And a year is a long time, but these bite-sized instances, you know, because ultimately then building yourself a 10 property portfolio, it's not going to happen in a year or 2 years or 3 years if you're starting from nothing or you're starting from one deposit, right? It's going to take time to build it. And this is just property because it's obviously what I know and love, but whether it's property, business, whatever it is, man, it's one of these things. You have to move through those incremental phases, those incremental goals that you can effectively step through and level up that are actually achievable. Yeah, set some stretch targets, man. Push yourself. See if you can achieve something that's outside the norm or what you think is possible. But set yourself some stretch targets, but not ridiculous goals that it's just like, it's too incomprehensible. It's unachievable. Set yourself bite-sized achievable goals and then get after it.
Yeah. 100%. There's no quick fix, as we know. Anything that's worthwhile takes time.
Yep.
And I think if you give yourself that breathing room, then you can allow compounding to happen. Like, look at your portfolio. Go back and listen to the folks. If you haven't listened to Sammy's portfolio, the first 7 years, how many properties did we have? 7 or 10?
I think in the first 7 years, I think it was maybe, did I hit 11 in the first 7 years? Okay, maybe.
And then from 7 to 15, we've gone from 11 to 120. If you don't take the lesson out of that, now if Sammy narrowed his window and said, if I'm not doing this, if I'm not driving a Ferrari 5 years into my journey, then we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But now, 15 years later, so that's why do not cut your window. And this is not just for 20.
And where's the portfolio going to be in another 7 or 8 years? You know what I mean? Like the compounding effect beyond the piece.
Yes.
This is the thing. It just gets, if you've never looked at the net worth of your mate, Mr. Warren Buffett, if anyone's never looked at that chart before, that graph, I encourage you to go Google it, right? Google Warren Buffett net wealth time frame or whatever it is. And man, the way that it goes, it starts at almost nothing the whole way through. So it's a little bit, right? But it starts. Then after about 30 years, he hits $1 billion. And then the way that the trajectory just goes straight up, like it's going straight up a skyscraper, like a rocket ship taking off. It was
from about 50 years of age.
It was crazy when you look at that. But imagine all the lessons, the learnings, the bullshit he went through, the excuses that he probably made during the piece and then learned that you can't make that stuff. And then the actual compounded like rocket ship that took off. Yeah. And you look at the same thing at me. The first 7 years, man, very small. And then the last 7, 8 years, boom, it's been a rocket ship straight up. So and it's only getting, higher and stronger and faster because of what has happened in the portfolio and treating it like a business and everything to do with that, man. So I think like there is serious power in that and applying that properly, man.
Yeah, I love it. All right.
Likewise,
Take us home, Sammy boy.
Mate, the very final one, which is one of my favorite things to say.
You probably stole it from me.
Undoubtedly not. Only take advice from those who have achieved what you want to achieve.
Oh, yeah.
If someone hasn't done what you want to do, how can they show you how to get there? It's impossible. They can't do it because they've never been there. And this even goes for people trying to give you advice who maybe are there now, but let's say it's a property portfolio and you're on $100,000 a year and you want a 10 property portfolio. But the guy giving you advice runs a business making $1 million a year, and he's just built a 10 property portfolio in the last 2 years. Well, if he's making $1 million a year and you're making 100, you're in completely different scenarios. So only take advice from those who have done what you want to do, from the position that you're in, that you're starting from. That is the way to success, man. Whether it's in bloody property or any other type of investing, or whether it's in business or career or whatever it is, find a mentor that has done what you want to do, so then they can help you roadmap how to do what you're trying to do and actually probably get there significantly faster than they did. If I look at my journey, man, literally there's kids, man, in their 20s that in a year, 2 years are surpassing what I did in my first 5 to 7 years. So, man, I think like people have really got to take that, the takeaway from that, regardless of what they're in, what business they're in, what career they're in, relationships, all these different things, man, especially things like investing, man. Never take advice from someone that hasn't done what you want to do. And the same thing goes for coaches, man. You got a life coach or a business coach, you got a life coach, and he's like, fucked, he's never made that much money, he's got unsuccessful relationships. Why the hell would you employ that person? Or a business coach that's just done a thing on coaching or whatever, and then they're trying to do it, but how much do they make a year? If you're trying to make $1 million a year and they're making 200 grand a year, they are not your business coach. You need someone that's at $1 million as a minimum, if not 5 or 10 mil or something like that a year, potentially in the same industry as you. That's the person who should be coaching you and giving you that advice on how to get to that level, because they've done it. Not the guy making 100, 200 grand a year, because he hasn't done it, man.
Yeah. The sad reality is for a lot of people listening here, especially our young listeners, your parents and your family, they love you, but they may be your biggest anchor.
Yes.
Stopping you from actually achieving your goals.
100%. Whilst they may have the kindest and the nicest intentions in the world to help you, at the end of the day, if they have not done what you're trying to do, and let's face it, 99.9% of parents of kids in their 20s right now have not built the size of the portfolio that they're trying to build, or have not accelerated in the career that they're trying to accelerate, or built the business in the industry that they're trying to succeed, or even built a successful business at all. And if that's the case, and if they've never done it, they aren't the people to seek out. It's always okay to bounce ideas off them, as long as they're not shooting it down and be a bit of a sounding board.
Ask the question.
But ultimately, man, you want someone who's done what you're trying to do as your mentor in this space.
Yeah, I love it. Even your friends as well, folks. Your friends, you got different friends for different things.
Yeah.
Don't be asking your friends advice if they haven't done it. You can ask and have a conversation.
Yes.
And also you might be the trigger for your friends to improve that advice to them. You might achieve something and then you can actually impact the people around you. I say this to everyone, regardless of finances, wealth, relationships. If someone's giving you advice, ask them a very specific question about exactly, what have you done in your own life?
Yes.
Base your feedback on that.
I always just do it in property, man. Someone's trying to tell me how to do it. Okay, they're trying to tell me how to build a portfolio. Okay, how many properties have you got? None. Okay, fuck, man. What are we doing here in this
Even
conversation?
financial advisors. I need to speak to my financial advisor. Have you asked your financial advisor what are they actually doing?
Yeah.
What investments do they have?
Position,
how have they built it out?
Yeah, 100%.
Ask them exactly.
Yeah,
ask your accountant exactly that. Ask the broker that.
Yeah.
Anyone in your circle, ask them, have you done it?
Yeah.
Whatever you're trying to do, ask them. And then that'll put you in the right direction.
I love it, man. I love it.
I think there was 10 pretty...
Mate, 10, it was punchy. We banged it out. Pretty much an hour flat, man. I'm happy, brother. You happy?
I'm happy too. Hope people got a lot of value out of that, Sammy.
Jimmy, mate, before we sign off, any final words from you?
Sammy, I was just going to say, everyone listening to this podcast knows someone in their 20s.
Yes, very true, man.
The biggest impact you can have on someone else is parting some knowledge or opening the door for them to improve their own knowledge. So I do encourage anyone listening to this, if you have anyone that you want to impact, even if they're younger than 20, one point from this podcast may just change the trajectory of their life.
Mate, in reality, it can be anyone at any age, because ultimately 100%. We're passing on the lessons that we wish we knew in our 20s.
Yeah.
But we're very experienced, man. We're very learned. We've gone through a lot of shit. There may be people who are in their 20s who are listening to this that sent it to their parents in their 50s that wouldn't even think about half this stuff or know about half this stuff as well, man. So the idea, guys, is we're trying to level up everyone's knowledge that we possibly can in this game to help you guys get to the highest level that you're chasing in your whatever it is that you're chasing, life, everything.
And can I just say to people, if you're feeling uncomfortable sending something like this on, the way to frame it is, I took a lot of value out of this and I just thought you might get some value out of it as well. So it's not trying to tell people to listen to this for them. Yeah. I took a lot of value and I thought I was thinking of you and thought you might get some value too.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine having a mate like that.
Mate,
I'd
love a mate like that. I would love a mate like that.
I know you don't have any mates, but imagine you had one and they pass this on. Imagine the impact that could have.
Oh, fuck. Listeners, I hope you took some great value out of it. If you did, make sure you leave us a 5-star review if you're loving the podcast and if you loved today's episode. And if you did as well, make sure you send in requesting Jimmy back if you want him back. Otherwise, guys, make sure you send this podcast on. We want to share this thing around. We want to build the community of people listening to this thing, tuning into this thing, taking their thinking and their actions to the level of the top 1%. The more you share this around, the more reviews you get, the more testimonials we get, the more people that subscribe to this podcast, the better the guests we're going to be able to get on, better than Jimmy, I guarantee you that. And the more regular we're going to be able to get on extremely high performers in the top 1% podcast. If you're not following us on the socials yet as well, and you want all the best clips and takeaways from the podcast, make sure you head over to @the-top1% podcast, all in words, guys, all in letters. Go and look that up. Make sure you give us a follow there as well. And as always, guys, we'll see you next week for another top 1% podcast.